Good morning. Thank you for joining Sandra P's Gen Extra. I hope everyone is having a great Friday and it's the beginning to a wonderful, restful weekend. Thank you so much. I see one of my moderators had come in. Thank you, Mama Bees. I appreciate you. And she's driving, cannot speak individually, so I do appreciate her stepping in and leaving a comment. Thank you so much for stepping in. And she is driving, so Mama Bees will not be able to speak individually, but I will as I see the comments. Thank you so much for joining Sandra P's Gen Extra for my live Real Housewives of Miami recap, review, opinion. Y'all, this episode, it was another good episode, but I have to be honest, I got a little tired of the same old. This is the trip that never ends. This is their third day in Seville, and they are moving on to the next city. And they are still, Larsa mainly is on that same thing. She's making fun of and picking at Lisa over the same silly issue. But we'll get to that. And also, I'm going to add an extra. There is a watch. They finally got, not Watch What Happens Live. They've been on that off and on, but they finally got a Real Housewives of Miami after show where the various ladies sit down and they discuss after the episode things that have happened. So I will talk a little bit about some of that. So let's see. I've actually taken the notes for that first. So excuse me if it is mixed up. I'm going to speak about the episode first, and then I'll go back and speak about some of the after show. And then if it relates to what I'm thinking about or if it comes up, I'll just bring it up. Okay, so we start where we left off. They were having, let's see. I'm sorry. You know what I'm going to do? I'll just go in and then I'll speak about everybody. All right, I mentioned that they were saying that Lisa was taking notes on another friend, and that's weird. It's crazy. Marisol was the one that claimed she saw her doing it. Lisa did do that. She admitted to it. Yeah, she said, I'm taking notes because Larsa lies. She spins things. All of what Lisa is saying is true. Larsa says, in a group of friends, that's crazy. It's crazy. But when I think about this group of friends, they're more co-workers. I don't see anything wrong with Lisa taking notes to protect herself. I don't. So this is, Larsa speaking as if this is a normal friendship, and it's not. What these ladies do to each other is something different. In a normal friendship, I would say recording phone calls, taking notes during conversations, that sort of thing, it would never fly. But for the Real Housewives of Miami, or for that matter, any of the franchises, I can understand why some of the ladies would want to protect themselves in that manner, particularly if they are in a season where they are one of the people being targeted and isolated. Lisa is one of the people in this season being targeted and isolated. It's deliberate. It is so obvious. It's offensive. I don't know why these ladies feel like the viewer is so stupid we don't see what's going on. Gertie's being targeted and isolated, and Adriana's being targeted and isolated. The people that are guilty are the one that calls herself the Cuban Barbie, Alexia. Alexia is trying not to appear that she's doing that, but she is. Marisol is the most vicious because she hides behind this persona, this ditzy, oh, you know, I'm not really doing anything. I'm friends to everybody. I'm here drinking. I've got my cocktails. I'm not doing too much. Marisol is a menace. I'm so glad she doesn't have a full-time mojito. Bravo, I'm seeing way too much of her. I don't even know what friend of means. I think friend of should drop in. Why are we seeing this much of Marisol? Why does she have this sway over the group? And I'm going to speak about an issue that's not on the show, but behind the show, and it impacts the show. Alexia's estranged husband, Todd, they're not yet divorced, even though they say they are separated now. And this is a theme. It's a storyline for Alexia. Todd saying that there was someone that has been alluded to, hired private eyes. If he is someone is, this is allegedly, let me run my banner. Y'all, this is so confusing. Marisol is suspected of hiring private eyes to dig up dirt on cast members or to follow cast members, namely Dr. Nicole and her husband, Anthony, to the point where Dr. Nicole, who's no longer on the show this season, we had one sighting where she met for lunch with Gertie, which was a needed scene, a fun scene. I'm sorry, I haven't even got to Seville yet. 5 minutes in, y'all. But this is what happens when all this behind the scenes stuff goes on. So Maddie Saul is a part of the group that's trying to isolate other people. Julia is trying to play this, I'm just a little fun girl. She started out as that, if she ever was that. She's now on the group with the mean girls. She's turned her back on her original friends or the ladies that accepted her for who she was before she became this Real Housewives of Miami monster and mean girl, and being weaponized and used by Alexia, by Maddie Saul. I go back and forth on Alexia, y'all. There are things about Alexia that I like, and I think Alexia can be fun if she didn't have Maddie Saul, but I feel like Maddie Saul and Alexia need to be broken up. Larsa Pippen is a different animal altogether. She's a menace. She's been able to be on the show, not share anything, use the other ladies as her storyline. This season, she's actually picking on Lisa about, did you unfollow my ex-boyfriend yet? The ex-boyfriend being Marcus Jordan that she brought on the show. She's the one always talking about. Last episode had the nerve to call Lisa a groupie, and Lisa thankfully had the wherewithal to say, I'm a groupie, you dated him. And then in the confessional, she brought up, all she does is date rappers and athletes and hangs with Kardashians. She no longer hangs with Kardashians because, this is outside of the show, I have to bring it up. She no longer hangs with the Kardashians because Larsa was allegedly cast out by the Kardashians after she continued to accept phone calls from Kanye, after Kim was already separated from him, going through a contentious divorce from him, and she was still a friend to Larsa. And this is what Larsa was doing. So all of this, when you see Larsa saying, have you unfollowed my boyfriend? Have you unfollowed my boyfriend? It's crazy, y'all. It's crazy. So they are at dinner. During the dinner, Lisa, of course, received a phone call or a text, something that let her know that she had paperwork to sign because it was business hours in Miami. Lisa's away from her 2 small children. She's going through a divorce from Lenny. She had paperwork to sign that needed to be notarized within a couple of hours. When the scene started, Gertie's telling us it's 2 p.m. in Miami. So it was late night. They have dinner late in Madrid. So it was 8 p.m. and 6 hours ahead. Lisa leaves the table to handle it, and Larsa melts down. I'm tired of everything being about her. She shows up a day late. She wasn't missed. I'm removing myself. I'm getting off the line. I'm getting off the ride, and just acting like everything Lisa did annoyed her. Was able to corral most of the other ladies against Lisa. Adriana thankfully didn't bite. Adriana said, I'm not for bullying because I've experienced that. Gertie asked Larsa, are you speaking for everybody? Speak from your heart directly to her. Don't speak for everybody. I appreciate Gertie doing that because I was a little annoyed with Gertie and wondered how long she was going to sit there. Good morning, Sharon Gobble. Mama B said that she was driving, but says good morning. Thank you for coming in. This episode was so annoying, Sharon Gobble. When I came in, I had to tell some of the behind the scenes stuff about why Larsa insisting this, if you unfollowed my boyfriend, is so crazy. The fact that she was still accepting calls from Ye and is no longer friends with him because of it. So they tried to say that, we'll stop with the Lisa taking notes because that happens a little bit later. I had that on there because I'm going to include some stuff as a Real Housewives of Miami Extra because they did the after show. Good morning, Cece. Cece is one of the moderators that came in and speaking to everyone. Thank you for joining the Real Housewives of Miami live review, recap, opinion / rant. So she's reading. Larsa is saying that Jody is texting her. I'm shaken. I don't like this. A man should not be texting a woman. He should text my brother. He should text my boyfriend. He shouldn't text me directly. That's Larsa. So, and I thought it was strange and weird to read text to prove your point. But now, because Larsa is doing it, it's okay. This is why I can't with these women. Stephanie's in a confessional, says, why is any significant other texting any lady? Larsa's not a lady, and I believe she contacted Jody first. Larsa shouldn't contact or talk about Jody. She contacted Jody. She talks about Jody. She's been picking at Jody since Milan. This episode annoyed me also. Yes, Sharon, I was so happy to be back in Seville and them going to the next city. And then they just started this blah, 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 blah again. Lisa, after she came back to the table, y'all, from taking this phone call, she got on the first. She got on the phone with Jody. Jody's like, "Calm down, Gertie. We know Gertie. Gertie's there. Jody, I'm here. It's Gertie. I am here. I'm helping her. We're going to get the notary." Jody, who is Lisa's fixer. Now, I didn't like Lisa for Jody and vice versa in the beginning, but I do see that Lisa needs someone that can calm her, kind of take care of things. If we remember, Lisa left home at 16. Lenny got a hold of Lisa when she was in her early 20s, and Lisa's stuck somewhere in her 20s in her mind. She has these two little toddlers, and she's trophy life to the much older Lenny for years. So I'm going to make allowances for Lisa, even though she is very self-absorbed. I understand it. But when she came, Jody got the notary. He had the name. Call this person. We can get this done within the next hour. Gertie helps her. Gertie said, "Okay, Jody, I have one more thing. Do not contact Larsa. You shouldn't be texting or calling Larsa. It's not a good look." He said, "I realize that." She said, it's turned into the issue is you contacting Larsa. He said, "I realize that." Lisa gets in the confessional and shows and tells the Jody text, which is, "Larsa, if you keep being mean to us, we are not going to respond with kindness to you. Drop this fight. We don't want to fight with you." Something else he said, "Oh, have a good day," or something like that. But it was a very innocuous text. It was nothing like what Larsa was saying. Larsa was acting like the man was threatening her. Now, Larsa, I don't even know if Marcus Jordan was threatening you, because we've caught Larsa in so many lies. Namely, every season, Andy asks her whatever work she has done. And if a woman doesn't want to say that, she doesn't have to say it. But I don't accept lies. Season 1, Larsa, and Larsa now, we're not doing that. Looking like Mama Elsa reincarnated. And it's terrible to sit there and not claim it. Own it. Say, yeah, Andy, I got a nip and a tuck, and then got another nip and 2 more tucks. And it's my business. And that's what I like. Instead of, "Oh, no, I don't know what anybody's talking about. I don't even know. Nothing. We're not going to take that." So Lisa came back to the table after handling the notary. She got the paperwork signed, thanks to Jody, thanks to Gertie, and she apologized. Remember, Larsa had stormed out with her big Minnie Mouse bow. Everyone else is mainly in red, except for Stephanie didn't have red. She had blue and black. Larsa had on a white dress. She storms out. A lot of the ladies followed her. When Lisa came back in, she apologized and she said, "Larsa, please come back to the table. I'm sorry making everything about me. Please come back to the table." I don't think Lisa owed Larsa an apology, y'all, but she did. And that was big of Lisa. Larsa was lying to the ladies. The dinner was so great last night, and I feel like the whole mood changed. I feel like once Lisa got here, the whole mood changed. It's just brought everything down. It's brought everyone down. Stephanie gets in a confessional and lies. Everything's been ruined. She means ruined, but she says ruined. Everything's been ruined by Lisa coming here. Stephanie's getting on my nerves, y'all. I was trying to give Stephanie a little grace, but she really got on my nerve. Most of the other women at the table also dogged Lisa, with the exception of Adriana and Gertie. Thankfully, they got that handled. Lisa apologized, which I would not have. And when Lisa came back to the table, Larsa was rolling her eyes. Larsa has been so mean to Lisa. I think Larsa is a bully to Lisa, because it comes up later that Kiki's going to tell Adriana she's too old to be calling names like she did. Adriana will call people names, and later we'll see something she says to Kiki. It made me laugh, but it greatly offended Kiki, and I didn't know Kiki could be offended. Kiki never expects Gertie to take offense, but honey, you'll see the end of this episode. Kiki went off over words. Imagine that. Germ-filled water couldn't move Kiki, but she's up in arms over this word that Adriana calls her. So, confessional Lisa says that Larsa acts like the victim, but she's really the villain. And this is going to factor in later with Lisa taking notes while Larsa's calling her names. Larsa gets in a confessional and claims that Lisa is the victim. So this is what they were doing in the episode, y'all, back and forth. Maddie saw, they're back at dinner. Everyone has sat back down. Maddie saw turns the conversation to Lisa taking notes. I wrote notes. I'm taking notes, Lisa and Larsa and Maddie saw. They call it scary, dangerous, weird, and the reaction is more than when Julia attacked Gertie with that germ-filled water. You would think, I don't even know, I can't compare it to something that Lisa could have done to these ladies, but they are shocked. And Adriana in the confessional says, taking notes to keep things straight with this group is not a bad idea. I agree with Adriana because they lie so much. Larsa's claiming, we're a group of friends, and Lisa says, no. Then Larsa says, well, if I'm not a friend, if we're not a group of friends, sit over there. Sit over there. Larsa, you get your bow up and you sit over there if you don't like your seat. I'm tired of Larsa telling people what to do. You move your fake butt. Stop telling the other women what to do. I don't like that. And her kids don't even listen to her. So confessional Julia strangely says, kisses are going to make everything better. Julia's at the table, starts screaming about kissing make everything better. If Gertie and I can kiss and make up, you can kiss and make up. Y'all, this is the scene that they threatened us with for the past few weeks, the preview. Julia moves in to kiss Gertie. Gertie's like a joke, right? Julia puts her face right into Gertie's and did appear to be tongue. The ladies started screaming. And Larsa was like, oh my God, I think Gertie opened her mouth. And Gertie is like, I don't know if she opened her mouth or not. It was, y'all, it really disgusted me. I don't care about two women kissing, but it did seem aggressive to me. It seemed manipulative and it seemed pre-planned because I heard a couple of references to making out, kissing, making up, and I think they're going to use this against Gertie, y'all. Gertie, you got to be smart. You got to be quicker. That woman should have never been able to approach you directly to your face again. I think Gertie was a little too friendly on this trip to Julia. I noticed they were in the same groups a lot of the time, and Julia's going to use that. I hope she's not able to use it to keep her job, but I didn't like that, y'all. So they kiss and make up. The ladies are screaming. And Gertie didn't look prepared. And to me, I know I'm a Gertie apologist, but she just didn't look like she expected that to happen. I'm going to let Sharon say it. Julia is just disgusting. That had to be a setup. It did. It just didn't even look organic or natural or something that was going to happen next. They're still at dinner. What are you talking about? Kissing, making up. I'm trying to eat my food. Go brush your teeth. What are y'all talking about? So this is going to come up. This is going to come up to bite you, Gertie. We need you to be quicker. The next morning, they leave dinner. Finally, they all leave dinner. This was a dinner from heck. So the ladies call home. They're in their hotel, various hotel rooms. The lady calling home, FaceTiming their significant others. Julia doesn't FaceTime Martina or her new sons. She FaceTime her friends that they're going to visit later. She said these two guys are going to be asked to be the godfather. She says Martina is jealous. She's babysitting. You don't babysit your own kids, okay? That's something you should learn, Julia. She's not babysitting. These are your two sons. These two new little brothers are your sons. So Adriana and Lisa and Gertie meet in the room together. This is a trio that I kept seeing over on Instagram. So I was happy to see these scenes. Lisa said, I'd almost rather see the city because the other ladies have decided that they're going to branch off and do something artsy. So I'm with them. I would have wanted to see Madrid as well. Kiki ends up with them, y'all. So we got Gertie, Adriana, Lisa, and Kiki. The other group, the mean group, Marisol, who else? Alexia, of course, her shadow, Alexia is with her, Stephanie, and Julia. They go to some type of old ceramic factory where the ladies are going to paint. There's an artist in residence. I loved it. The lady was asking them, have you ever painted? The ladies joked they had never painted. Confessional Stephanie says that all of her paintings are doodles when she's in business meetings. They're all pictures of Masood. Stephanie, you lying. I'm tired of you lying on this old man. You are not that obsessed with this old man. This is making me think that it's true that Stephanie swiped this old man from his original wife, that she was this woman's assistant and walked out with her husband, because you act like you got to watch Masood. She said everything is just pictures of Masood with hearts all over it. I don't believe it. We get the confessional where Maddie Sell is still in this funeral dress with the hat with the net. Oh, Lord. Maddie Sell draws a male body part, y'all. Production, you making a fool of these ladies. These ladies are my age. We're too old to be doing this. Why did y'all do this? Literally drew a picture of a man's private part and then turned it around and showed it to the viewer. And some of them were so nasty it was like blurred out, but then most of them, they could actually see them. Marisol drew one. Alexia said, I'm not going to draw one. Then she drew one. Julia drew a penis as well. You think a lesbian can draw a penis? Julia's a weirdo. Yeah, we know you can draw one. You were kissing that man. You've seen one. And you have children by men, okay? You've seen one. Stephanie claims I won't. I'm not going to draw one. And then she draws one. Well, it's Masood's. Yeah, Stephanie, yeah. So she FaceTime Masood and shows it to him. Oh, thank you. It looks just like me. Y'all are trashy. Y'all are some freaks. This is just terrible. Production, who is this for? They're making a monkey out of you, Miami. Y'all, they used to be classy. And now they turn into something different. Real Housewives of Atlanta would never. I hear y'all, some of y'all talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta. I don't think they would do that. And stop calling Lisa a monkey. I don't like that. I don't like that. And that's going to come up later too. So the City Cruise ladies, I'm going to call them the classy ladies for now at least. We'll see something later. The classy ladies and Kiki, we'll say that. So the classy ladies and Kiki, they didn't have to draw pictures of any male apparatuses. They're visiting castles, beautiful museums. They were teasing Adriana as being dressed as Inspector Gadget, and she did look cute. Adriana always looks cute. Adriana gets in a confessional, y'all. Hey, dear Yvette, thank you so much for joining. It's so good to see you. Sharon agrees. Yeah, that was straight up trash. The whole scene was straight up trash. Hey, Andre Shannon, thank you for coming in. You made a, wow. He says Gertie is a people pleaser just like Shamia Morton. Now that is a cross franchise reference that I can agree with. I hate to say it because you know what? I went up for Shamia Morton. I really did, and I tried. I was so disappointed by that lady by the end of the season. I'm gonna have to tune in to 17 to see if she can turn it around. I have to. She can't go out like that, y'all. Can Shamia go out like that? She went out sad. I wanted to cry for her at the reunion. Let me not get off track. But she's a people pleaser. Shannon Gobble, that was trash. Yeah, you're in Madrid. Everything's classy, sophisticated, and y'all over there just acting terrible. Why are you showing me a picture of that? This is an art class. And the artist in resident, y'all, she didn't look happy about that. She looked like she felt disrespected. People are going to have to start, no, let me not say it. I was going to say they have to start suing Bravo when they make them uncomfortable. Because they didn't tell that lady they were going to be coming in here drawing men private parts. So, well, they did it in the confessional, but I feel like they did it in class too, because why did that come up in the confessional? So Stephanie is asking Larsa, y'all, since they're alone and Lisa and the other ladies are not there, of course they got to talk about them. So Stephanie's asking, Larsa, do you want to be on the plane with Lisa? Now we know that Stephanie was able to dangle her private plane seat over the ladies on the way to Madrid, but everybody could not go. Everyone's supposed to go on the trip to the next city outside Madrid. We find out it's a 22-minute flight, y'all. Here's Larsa. I don't want to be in a train, in a plane, in a car with Lisa. Larsa's 51 years old, y'all. She can't ride 22 minutes with somebody that she calls friend because they're following her ex-boyfriend. So now Stephanie's pretending that she's torn. If I didn't invite Lisa, she'll actually have to make another way to the next city. If I were Lisa, I actually would not have wanted to be in close quarters with Stephanie or Larsa. And I would hope that Gertie and Adriana didn't ride either. So Bravo needs to stop this bullying and isolation. It's hard for the audience to watch as well. You could be someone who doesn't even like Lisa, and you won't enjoy watching this. Alexia said, you guys need to talk to her. So they select the hostess of the trips, which will be Julia and Marisa. They're going to talk to Lisa, I guess, about keeping her behavior in line or whatever. I haven't seen Lisa do anything, y'all. She showed up 23 hours later, a full day later to Madrid, but that made her take 2 flights, a train, every way she could, 23 hours to get to Madrid and drag her own luggage. That didn't hurt the ladies, that was her. So Stephanie claims Lisa gets away with anything in the group, and they have allowed her to do it because they've known her for years, and she is allowed to be disruptive. I don't think Lisa's disruptive. Lisa hasn't really, the last person she got into it with was Kiki, and Kiki was giving it as good as she got. Remember, they were on that boat yelling in each other's faces. And then Gertie kind of had a medical event and the ladies were leaving and Lisa was looking for her lip gloss. That was pretty terrible, but it wasn't disruptive. They could have left her then. I would have left her. So she's come in and ruined, according to Stephanie, the environment. She says, well, I wanted everyone to ride together on my plane, but I'm not willing to take that chance. I have some things down here about Larsa. I don't want to be mean, so I won't say it. I think Larsa ruined the environment. I really do. She's in another one of her confessionals looking like a reincarnated Mama Elsa. She's trying to gaslight the audience because she's been able to gaslight the ladies and let us know that Lisa is the one that brought the negative vibe. She came in on negative vibes. Everything on the trip was great until Lisa got here. And then everything has been terrible. But Larsa was the one chasing Lisa through the street, yelling about and following Marcus, running from the table, threatening to jump off the ride. Stephanie's full of it. I'm sorry. And Larsa is as well. So Alexia points out again, the ride is only 22 minutes. And then Stephanie and Larsa says a lot can happen in 22 minutes. So we see what they're doing. They don't want Lisa to ride on the private jet, even though it was agreed before they even left. There's not enough room on the private jet for everyone to come to Madrid, but there is enough room for that very short flight. So now they're changing it. They're claiming Lisa is different, blah, blah, blah. Again, the art hostess I have is looking at the group like the crazies they are. So they really ruined this lady's class. The other three and Kiki's now saying a boyfriend shouldn't be texting Larsa. Gertie agrees. She says, I don't like it. I don't like it. Adriana didn't really say anything. Lisa finally says, leave Jody alone. I'm with you, Lisa. Leave Jody alone. He's not there. Stop talking about the man. The other group is essentially voting Lisa off the private jet. And y'all, the one that appreciated it the most to me was Julia, because she's a social climber and a butt kisser. And Alexia likes nice things, so I guess she would appreciate it, but she was willing not to go on it because Stephanie was trying to divide her and Marisol. So I'll give Alexia points for that. But the one that appreciated the private jet the most was, of course, Stephanie, who was talking about her jet, and jet etiquette and da-da-da. So Stephanie, Lisa, and Julia. And Larsa, because Larsa is a person that is a clout chaser. So I think it's unfair that they're going to try to ask Lisa to kind of not go on the private jet. I don't like that. Julia's going to talk to her. Adriana's saying they need to de-escalate the whole situation. Adriana is pointing out, she said, you know, you could follow or unfollow Marcus. We don't care about that. But Larsa is using this as a wedge issue to turn the group against you. I love when Adriana puts her thinking cap on. That's exactly what's happened. Lisa's saying, I don't even care about following Marcus, but I'm not unfollowing him because Larsa never really asked me. She demanded, she's been picking on me, she's bullying me, trying to force me to do it, and that's why. And then Gertie pipes in and says, well, if you didn't follow him, that's one less trick that she'd get to play. So confessional Lisa says she doesn't expect Larsa to say thank you for unfollowing Marcus. She's probably going to come up with something else. So, and then this is exactly what happens, y'all. We get confessional Marisol still in that funeral. I lost my husband hat, y'all. I think they make them stay in the same confessional clothes too long. I think they should allow them to do changes, because if it's a bad look, it's a bad look, and it's been for weeks. And I think Marisol's drunk, y'all. Remember when she was acting like she was doing an act with that large bottle of vodka? I think Marisol is drunk. She's saying, it's Stephanie's plane and her choice. Why am I taking the heat? Because, drunk Marisol, you're taking the heat. You're a host. You said that you and Julia would talk to Lisa. That's why you're taking the heat. Marisol loves this. Julia gets in a confessional. It's my role as host to be talking to Lisa. Julia's disgusting. So she brings Lisa. The art day is over. The field trip in Madrid is over. Lisa comes in looking all bubbly and happy. Marisol and Julia, shifty-eyed. Lisa says, oh, we're meeting. Okay, I'm going to be on my best behavior. Lisa just doesn't know when a big weight's getting ready to hit her in the head, but she's just looking so eager. I'm going to be on my best behavior if that's why we're here. Marisol says, okay, some people in the group have been very uncomfortable. You got to put your phone away. And Lisa said, I have 2 small children. I'm going through a divorce. We see what happened last night when I have to have paperwork signed within an hour or 2. I can't put my phone away. Marisol lies and said, all the ladies are very upset about you taking notes on them, Larsa. Very upset about you taking notes on them. And we're going to have a basket on the plane and you just put your phone in there. Lisa says, is this rule just for me or is it for everybody? Marisol lies and says it's everybody. So Marisol claims that the note taking has people on high alert. And Lisa correctly says, well, Larsa, twist the truth. She tells lies and I feel like I need my own notes. I need to keep the things that are being said straight so I can refer to it later. And sometimes she calls me such terrible names, I need to write it down so that I can remember what she said. So I agree with Lisa on that because we've caught Larsa in lies. Julia says, Larsa is our friend, and then one day you'll be taking notes on her, but then the next day you could be taking notes on me. Julia, if you're not telling lies, you shouldn't worry about people taking notes on you. But we've caught you in lies as well. Like when Larsa said that you were kissing a man at the Four Seasons. You played crazy. Martina didn't know anything about it. And then when the picture came out, you admitted to it. But he was just a friend. These ladies are a mess. So Marisol is saying, it's a 22-minute flight. You don't have to worry about your kids during that time frame. You've got, who's in the village? You got Jody. And Lisa was like, no, I don't have to leave my kids to Jody. I need to be able to be in touch. And then Lisa as they keep going back and forth about this, Lisa correctly says, I feel unwanted now. I'm not even going to go to dinner with you ladies tonight. I love you. She walked away. Y'all, I felt so sad when little Lisa walked away because she's kind of dim, but she could feel what these 2 ladies were doing to her. They were trying to twist her arms and make her kind of take herself out of the trip. Now, Maddie saw, y'all, this is how sneaky she is behind the scenes. Julia's claiming that that's when I didn't want to go on when we go to Morvaya. I hope that's the name of the city. I make fun of Julia, but that's the way she pronounced it. And she said Morvaya. This is the next stop on your Seville trip. So Julia, I hope you get the feeling of being isolated if you come back. And I hope you don't keep your job after assaulting 3 or more coworkers and then kissing someone in their mouth unexpectedly. So Gertie is fussing Adriana out, who has shown up ready but fresh faced to dinner. Gertie's like, you have no makeup on at all? I'm not a makeup artist. My color's not your color. Adriana's talking about, I like to be dark. Adriana, you can't use Gertie's makeup. Adriana's a mess. So Alexia called Lisa. And Lisa says, I'm not ready yet. I don't want you guys to have to wait on me. Just go ahead and take a cab. And so they say, okay, we'll see you there. Because with Lisa, it could be anywhere from 11 minutes to another 2 hours. So yeah, I would have left her too. Lisa said, she gets back in the confessional and says, I decided I'm not going to let Larsa drive me out of the group. I'm going to go to the dinner. Production shows us that Marisol called her, y'all. Marisol and Julia were the ones having her feeling so bad she knew that she was unwanted. And then Marisol, knowing how the viewers would look at it, even the ones that don't care for Lisa, we see you, Marisol, trying to get that mojito. So Marisol called her and says, please go with us. You can do it. And then Lisa agrees to go to dinner. So that's why she's getting ready. And I don't know what time this phone call took place. Maybe that's why she wasn't ready when the group was ready. That just occurred to me. I believe it's a trap. I'm worried for her at the dinner. I have these garden tools are dangerous. You know, I don't like to call women HOs. So in the car, they're joking. Are you taking notes like Lisa? They're saying to each other. Yeah, this is not fun. I don't like that. Adriana gets to the car. I don't know how big the car is, but Julia's on one side near a window. Who is on the other side? Julia's on one side near a window. Larsa is sitting on the other side near a window. So someone's in front. There's a middle seat. Neither one of the ladies open their door or move for Adriana to get in. So she walks up to the car. They don't move. And then she says, okay, I'll go to the next car. And then they lied to the viewer right in front of our face. And they said, what's the matter with Adriana? She didn't even stop at the car. She must didn't want to ride with us. Y'all, these ladies are crazy. Sometimes I have to rewind the scene to make sure I saw what I saw. And I'm not just setting people up in my mind because I don't care for them. Julia and Larsa are dangerous women. Take notes. Have your notes app. Take a picture if you need to. These two are lie on you in front of your face. I'm so glad production showed us that. Then they out. Kiki is picking up a man in Seville. Production shows us the proof. Some man was found up all in her face. And then Maddie Sal started joking about how much was the man worth, all this kind of stuff. It's not fun to watch. They asked Alexia, why didn't she marry a Spanish guy? You remember she lived there during her formative years, early 20s or so. She said she did almost marry a Spanish guy. And then it didn't work out, but then she found out his grandfather owned Pepsi. So Maddie Sal's joking, we're going to look him up. We're going to look him up. And this is going to be a big Band-Aid. She makes a crude gesture, referring to a male anatomy. Maddie Sal, you're disgusting. I think you were drunk. So she makes a joke about looking him up if he's not gay. And why would you do that? Y'all know about Alexia's husband that passed away. Rest in peace to him. He was supposed to be a member of the alphabet community. That's what they say. Alexia said she didn't know anything about it. Then she admitted to it. Well, she didn't have anything to admit. I guess they had their own, they knew what was going on within their own marriage. But evidently, this is well known around Miami. So, Maddie, so why would you make that joke? Why would you offer to look up an ex-boyfriend as long as he's not gay? You worry about Steve because a lot of people think Maddie Saw has a lavender marriage. So talk to Booby. Alexia doesn't have a problem getting a man. And she's still married to Todd. So stop that. I don't like that. And enough crude jokes. Stephanie's in a confessional joking about a turtle. A turtle is the pace of Todd's divorce from Alexia. I think Todd is right. I think Stephanie is obsessed with him. Y'all, that did not fit. I don't know why they put that in, but that's what Stephanie said. Adriana blurts out, they get in there to dinner. Adriana blurts out, well, I have good news. Lisa unfollowed Marcus. I forgot to mention when the ladies decided, Lisa finally unfollowed him because they convinced her that Larsa shouldn't be able to use this to turn the girls against you. She went in and she unfollowed him. And she says, it's going to be a surprise. We're not going to tell anybody. They all agree. Adriana's head's in the clouds. She didn't agree or disagree. I think she didn't pay attention. So Gertie says at the time when Adriana blurts that out to the table, Gertie says, we agreed not to say anything. Adriana's like, I didn't hear that part. Y'all, I almost forgot that part. It wasn't really significant. So Adriana says, I thought I was just sharing good news. I'm sorry. That should have been it, right? It wasn't. Lisa showed up, y'all, as the food was served and some people were eating. I overheard someone say, oh God, I'm going to eat real fast. I don't know who said that, but that was kind of mean. She looked gorgeous. She looked really pretty. She walked in. Most of them ignored her. I hear Maddie Sell being fake. Maddie Sell's keeping in mind how she looks to the viewer, and she's not a full-time mojito holder. She doesn't want to be hated. She says, glad you're here, because she called her and convinced her to go. Remember, Lisa wasn't going to the dinner. So I still think it's a setup. So Lisa had anxiety, I think, about what was coming. That might be why she was late. I wish she had stuck to her first line and didn't come. She comes in. Larsa says in her confessional, who shows up 2 hours late? I think she's the Lulu. She walks in like nothing even happened. Shout out to Drew over on Atlanta, the Lulu land. That's what Larsa's calling Lisa. I think Larsa is jealous of Lisa, y'all. I think it dawned on me that Larsa is jealous of Lisa. Larsa is 51. She's trying to hold on to her youth. She's almost a decade older than Lisa, and she feels like she can boss Lisa around, tease, and bully Lisa. I think that's what it is. She perceives also Lisa as being weak because all the other ladies are scared of Larsa, and she thinks that Lisa should be light work. And I would like to see Lisa defend herself more. I know nobody wants to fight all the time, but I would love to see her defend herself more. I really would. I'm going to take this banner down because it's running across and like, okay, see, this is where my comments were. I wonder why my comments are stopping. Then I turned it off. Dear Yvette, thank you. Yes, Sharon, Shamia disappointed me. I hope Gertie doesn't. Yes. I'm going to catch up with these comments, everybody, because they're all relevant. Okay. We have Dear Yvette. I'm not sure how and why they turned on each other. I'm hurt. Larsa is the main one that wants all the attention. She needs to go. That's what I thought too. I don't know how she's saying that Lisa is coming in and she's ruined the whole environment. She needs to go. Absolutely need to go. Yeah, I'm with you, Mama Bees. I can't stand Stephanie or Larsa. Stephanie trying to hold her wealth over the ladies. Yes, and they're all doing well. Nobody's running around screaming about a private jet, but nobody's going to the food bank either. They're all blessed. So Kiki, after Adriana blurts that out, Kiki's saying, we made a pact. A pact, Kiki. We made a pact, and Adriana runs her mouth. Adriana says, Kiki, stop being ratchet. Now, Adriana, that was a microaggression, Adriana. She said, Kiki, stop being ratchet. But I'll give Adriana in her 4 or 5 languages a little grace. I don't know that she meant it like that, but the ladies were like, they all paused, even especially Gertie was like, ooh, I don't think you meant ratchet, ratchet. Did you mean ratchet, ratchet? It went over Julia's head. Julia's in a confessional like, I'm a farmer. I think that a ratchet is a tool. I don't even know what they're talking about. Kiki goes off. What do you mean? That's effed up. Kiki turned into ratchet. Kiki turned into the south side of Miami after Adriana said that. Adriana said, I thought I was breaking good news. It's no big deal. Kiki is yelling, you call me a ratchet? I'm about to get a ratchet in your ass. Kiki was yelling, y'all. Production pans out, and we see the next table. There's one kid in particular. Looking at them, he's kind of laughing, y'all. They are a source of disruption, Larsa, and laughter of the other tables. Kiki is yelling. Confessional Gertie looks it up, the definition. This is really confusion that she's saying the definition isn't that bad. I'm not going to look it up, but it had like an urban definition, and then it had a definition of it wasn't really that bad. So confessional Stephanie is saying she hopes that's not the word that Adriana meant to use. Kiki is yelling at Adriana, and she says, you are too old to be using those words, running around calling somebody ratchet. Alexia is in a confessional giggling. Well, I'm around the same age as Adriana. She might be a year or two older than me. I don't know. If she's too old, I'm too old. I don't know. Maddie Sell says, Karma is nipping at Adriana's heels. And then we get to see flashback to Adriana on the boat, calling Maddie Sell all kind of old whores and old knees and wrinkly old knees and all this kind of stuff. Larsa says, we need to try to de-escalate. Remind everyone that we're all real friends. Larsa, who's been pushing Lisa around the whole time, they're not real friends. Lisa jumps in again. She said, I apologize for everything before. I have stuff to handle. I don't want everybody to be getting into it at dinner again. And Lisa tries to de-escalate. Larsa tries to de-escalate. Adriana jumps in and said, I got to go home and take care of her kids, pointing at Lisa. That's what grandmas do. Adriana's mad about this old slur, y'all. Well, it's not a slur to me, but they're my age. Should I be mad too? Gen X, y'all, we don't respond to that age shaming and old. And Adriana said, this is age shaming. And you were calling her old whore the other week. Marisol is younger than Adriana, but she looks older. The next table is looking at them openly laughing now, y'all. Adriana storms out. She is so mad. Alexia says, I'm embarrassed. I don't want them to know we're American. Too late, Adriana. Anytime Americans walk in a place, they know you're American. Loud as y'all talking, cussing, pointing at people, yelling, storming in and out. Ridiculous. Lisa apologizes. And all the ladies are storming out, leaving. That we're so embarrassed, this and that. Lisa stands up. Well, I'm sorry, everybody. She's talking to the whole restaurant now, y'all. Excuse us. We didn't mean this. We're sorry. Drinks are on the house. I mean, not the house. Drinks are on us. She tries to tip out, y'all, and trips. She wearing some high heel stilettos, and she trips on the way out. So the other table is still outright laughing. Y'all, this scene was a mess. Dear Vet is laughing. It was the scene. It turned into comedy. Too much kissing, just nasty. Yeah, I've never had a group of friends that I kissed with like that. I just put them on notice, and I wouldn't have to put them on notice. We don't approach like that. If someone's a hugger, I hug, but I'm definitely not gonna be kissing you, makeup or not. Kiss the makeup or not. So they're doing a lot. They were doing a lot at this dinner. Stephanie, of all people, pretends to start crying in the car. Right, you have to double check them trolls. You do. I don't know why Stephanie's crying, but she's crying. Alexia points out, well, she said it wasn't Lisa this time or Larsa. It was Kiki and Adriana. They're the ones that ruined this dinner. So they've had about 3 ruined dinners in Madrid. I like to eat. I like to enjoy my food, and I can't do it if there's a lot of commotion. I couldn't eat with these ladies. And I think Kiki overreacted to being called ratchet. Now, Kiki thinks that Gertie overreacted to being assaulted with germ water. So now I think that Kiki overreacted to being called a word. You jumping up, yelling, calling this lady old. And then another thing she says was, you're older than my mother, the same age as my mother. They said, how old is your mother? My mother's 58. 58 is an old lady. Adriana's 59 or 60. Adriana still looks better than most of you. In my opinion, she does. So they're getting back in the car. They're all back in the car. Stephanie's crying. Larsa is explaining to us for some reason. She's really upset because she offered up her plane. We don't care about that plane. She's upset that that's not the focus. That's what she's upset about. She didn't get to hold that over the ladies coming over, and she doesn't now get to hold it against Lisa. So Marisol, those two were disgusting. Marisol uses that word loosely. I happen to think Marisol is disgusting. I think being in your 50s and drawing pictures of men's private part is disgusting. I think showing up drunk all the time and pretending to fillet a liquor bottle is disgusting. I think all those things are disgusting. So Marisol, you ratchet too. I think we need to expand that ratchet to include some of these other ladies. Kiki, you were acting ratchet as well. And so Stephanie, now that all the group is meeting together, Stephanie's saying, well, I'm going to let everybody ride, but I have to make the seats. I'm going to make a seat map. There's one seat. We're going to make this the criminal seat. That's what she called it, y'all. We're going to make this a criminal seat. This one person's going to sit alone. And then the other seats, this person is going to be with one other person. This other one is going to be, there is an actual curtain that comes down. It's a compartment. It closes down. Stephanie wants us to know that her private plane can have all these different configurations. We don't care. Okay, we don't care, Stephanie. And then Stephanie gets in a confessional and says, I'm glad that Alexia and I are getting along. Confessional, Marisol of all people says, I like Stephanie, but this is too much. I don't want the isolated seating. It doesn't really sit well with me. I don't want any parts of it. So now Marisol, who is a veteran, this is Stephanie's first season. Marisol is keeping in mind how all this is going to look. Who's the criminal seat for? Lisa hasn't done anything. These other two almost flat foot fought each other at dinner to the point where the other tables were laughing. Kiki was being very aggressive, yelling. Adriana's screaming, somebody's ratchet. So who's going to sit in the criminal seat? So Marisol's no dummy. She sees what's going on. Of course, she doesn't want to say it to Stephanie, so she tells us in the confessional. She said, I don't even want to go. She said, I think that's why I drink so much, so my spirit doesn't break. Marisol, please leave this drinking storyline. It's not cute. I don't like it at all. Stephanie is in true, never had any money fashion. She's new money. Lays down 100 rules, y'all. I don't like shoes in the private jet. I don't like people wearing things with zippers that can zig and zag cut the seats on the private jet. I don't like this on the private jet. Y'all, that was the end of the episode. So they're heading over to the next place. So we're going to get another episode in Seville. Well, they're leaving Seville, flying to the next city. This was a mess. Mama Bees, I felt this at the end too. I've never ridden privately, but I'll take my commercial flight. I'll go through TSA. I'll deal with them. I wouldn't get on that plane if they said it was $1 million waiting on me. Me either, Mama Bees. The way Stephanie was acting, now I alluded to the after show. I watched some of it. They got so ignorant, I actually had to turn it off. And I'll tell you first why I turned it off. Stephanie, since we ended on the part of her giving them 100 rules, she was saying, these are the rules of a private jet. It's called jetiquette. A lot of people have never ridden on a private jet and they don't have jetiquette. You're not supposed to wear anything that will tear the seat. Don't wear your shoes in my house. I'm a shoeless house as well. Don't wear your shoes in my house or on my plane. Another thing is you're not supposed to number 2 on the plane. She kept saying poop. You're not supposed to number 2 on the plane because The systems, it's like she was literally describing, y'all. It's like a hair dryer and it blows the toilet paper. So some people use four square. You nasty, Stephanie. Four squares and you number two. Get out of here. This is what she was saying, y'all. That's why I finally ended up turning it off. So if X amount of people do that, and then you've got all these people clogging the system, and then Alexia was joking that she doesn't number two on the plane or anywhere else, and Marisol was saying she just wouldn't eat. So that's when I cut the mess off. But on the after show, Kiki was saying that she didn't think that it was wrong for her to counter with, "You're too old to be talking like that," because Adriana called her ratchet. She took offense to it, so she felt it was fine for her to counter with, "You're too old to be talking like that." I'll say they both wrong. I don't love the word ratchet. I did felt like it was a microaggression, because when Larsa or any of the other ladies are arguing, I don't think they get called ratchet. Now, there was a funny conversation where Alexia said, "Well, Larsa, you and Lisa didn't ruin that dinner. That was Kiki and Adriana yelling." And somebody said, "Well, Larsa never yells." Larsa's mouth is deadly. She does talk crazy. She sounds real silly to me, but she doesn't yell at people. She is mean. She does try to isolate. She's a mean girl, but she doesn't yell. She does. They were joking that Larsa would say, "The house is on fire." And she probably would. I think she thinks it's sexy. That's why she doesn't raise her voice. Sharon Gobbo's laughing at Mama B's not getting on that plane, even if there's $1 million on there. So this episode, I have to give it a 7 because of all of the fighting. Of course, I love when Adriana gets a chance to show off her knowledge. I think I skipped over that. But she said that she has been to 58 countries. Wow, Adriana, she's been to 58 countries. She has studied art in Paris. She's also studied art in, I believe she said Rome, somewhere else that's really artsy. So Adriana, good deal. I love that. I hope she gets a full-time mojito. Kiki, I'm not ready to have her get a full-time mojito yet. I haven't seen enough for Kiki. Even last week when they were trying to have her cry about the people are threatening me, talking about what about me, I didn't like the direction that conversation was going in. Also, Kiki went over there to Carlos King, y'all. I don't know. I don't think that bodes well for her. Bravo doesn't like Carlos King. The viewers don't like Carlos King. So that is the last stop you should make, trying to keep your job. Kenya went over there and I don't know, maybe you should have talked to her about whether or not that did her well. I don't think it did. So that was it. This was only a 7 because of all the arguing. Stephanie and the private plane, the private plane, the private plane. And y'all, even their after show was a bust. I don't recommend it. I say fast forward through some of it. Some of it was funny. And then I would say the fight between Adriana and Kiki was a draw. They disgust me. I only give it a 5. Mama B's, I can't even argue with that. I like the fact that they traveled, even though they kind of ruined their own trip. And I'm going to put most of that on Larsa. I'm going to put most of that on Larsa Pippen. So let's see. Oh, this is a long review. I apologize, everybody. This episode really dragged on. It really did. Well, we did the after show as well. So that's only worth watching if you want to get a little more insight to the fight that they had. But it wasn't really a great episode for them. Some of the things they talked about, to me, was just kind of nasty. I don't want to see pictures of men private parts. And you're in a whole art museum. Why did y'all do that? So production, maybe the production's real young, or maybe they're just freaky. I don't know. But I don't think they did this ladies a service. I really don't. Because we could have had some fun times with Alexia and with Gertie, even Kiki's fun. Well, Kiki flashed a couple times, but I don't know. We'll see what's going to happen. The reunion I'm hearing is going to be really spicy. There's supposed to be some kind of bombshell moment that Andy's claiming he's never seen before. But I think he says that every reunion to get us to watch. Because I think he was teasing Atlanta like that. And Atlanta was a big snooze, except for Charles Oakley and poor Shamia going out bad and sad. Really, really sad. So that was it, everybody. That was the Real Housewives of Miami live recap, review, mainly rant. So we'll check in with the ladies next week and see what happens when they get to the next city. Let me see what Sharon Gobble is saying. Kiki was offended by being called ratchet because other people use that word as a reference to Black women, and she thinks she's better than Black women. Sharon Gobble, I bet that is what it is. Yeah, because, and you know what? That may be why Adriana did that, to trigger her. Because Adriana's smarter than that. I think the word was deliberate. I really do. I was going to give her grace on that in all her languages, but like I said, I don't think she would have used it with Lisa arguing or Larsa. Ratchet never came up, and Larsa Pippen's pretty ratchet. So yeah, they do reserve certain words for Black women, and Kiki does think she's better. Now Kiki's over there on Carlos King, claiming that Gertie introduced her to production, but she came on the show as friend of Larsa. She's saying something about Gertie doesn't really like to speak Creole on TV. Now, I'm not going to accept that from Kiki. I think Kiki's trying to make Gertie look bad. We've heard Gertie speak Creole on TV. We know she's Haitian, whether she speaks Creole or not. Kiki and Gertie have spoken Creole together. So I think she's trying to smear Gertie's reputation. She has also unfollowed Gertie. After Gertie started watching these shows, Kiki said that she was like liking comments from fans, and Kiki's pretty upset about that. Kiki said that somebody called her racist. I don't know. I don't think Kiki understands a lot of what she says. How could Kiki be racist? I don't think anybody called her that, and I don't think she is, but I do think she's better than Black women. I think she's doing that Caribbean thing and that some Africans do, some Caribbeans do, that they're above Blacks, regular Blacks, or American Blacks. I don't get into the diaspora wars because I've traveled, and anyone that looks like me, I'm going to show a certain amount of grace. I have had to put an African or two in their place. Caribbean, not so much, but we see what some of them do sometimes. So I think Kiki is guilty of that. But this episode, they ruined it. I only give it a 7. Mama Bees gave it a 5. So we're going to, let me see. I'm going to leave that there because I think that sums it up. But thank you, everybody, for stopping in to the Real Housewives of Miami review. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Friday and the rest of your weekend. I'll see you in the YouTube streets. Bye.